Hello and welcome to another update for the Foundation. So this week's a little bit of a different update. I don't really have anything visual to show you. I thought I might be able to, but it turns out that there was a lot more work to do than I had estimated, so I have not gotten anything visual to demonstrate. So there's some things I wanted to discuss instead related to what I'm working on. I know that discussion type things a little bit more boring to watch, and so I made a blog post, and there'll be a link for it in the description so you can go and read essentially what I'm going to discuss today. What I want to talk about revolves around a question that many people have been asking me on practically every update that I do, which is how are you going to implement over 2,000 different SCP articles in the game? That's just too much. Well, you're absolutely right. It's way too much. I'll never be able to get 2,000 done in a reasonable time. And it was never my intention to do so. So then the next question is, well, you said that they were all going to be in the game, so what's that all about? Well, they are, just maybe not in exactly the way that you think. See, every article on the website has tags on the bottom of the page. And these tags are meant to make the articles easily searchable on the wiki. However, they end up being a very nice classification of what kind of content is in the article. So, for example, let's look at 682. So if we pull this over here, you can see that on the bottom of the 682 article here, it says that it's adaptive, it's a heritage article, Keter, reptilian, SCP, self-repairing, sentient. First of all, some of them are not very useful for the game. We can throw them out. Heritage and SCP can get tossed out. Then we look and we see Keter. Keter, Euclid, and Safe are obviously object classifications for what kind of level of care is taken in their containment. However, for a game look at making a generic behavior system, they work really good as a scaling mechanism for how tough that particular item is. So a safe object is going to be a lot less difficult to handle than a Keter object is going to be. So it allows me to scale up maybe damage or movement or any of the abilities that a Keter object might have. And then we look at some of these other tags like self-repairing. And with these other tags that are used to describe the article, they will be used to provide actions to the object in the game, whether it's for during containment for how they might escape, or in the battle screen when you're actually facing off on them trying to contain them for the first time or contain them again when they've broken out. So for example, self-repairing would probably grant some healing/repairing actions. Because he's a Keter object, it probably would mean he would heal a lot every turn, meaning that you would need to deal tons of damage to this 682 implementation in order to suppress its healing ability, which is fairly close to the actual article on the wiki. In order to reduce the amount of content I need to make and make my job easier so the game can get out quicker, these tags will be placed into different, larger parent groups. By placing them in these parent groups, I can have every tag that inherits from that parent group inherit a certain basic package of actions, such as similar attacks, movements, senses, as well as a visual representation and animations. So if something's from the humanoid group, it will get the same rough humanoid representation. In order to make that make more sense in game, it'll be stylized in a way to make it look like it's a filter protecting the player from various info hazards, cognito hazards that might be present. So, I've done a lot of thinking about it this week, and I think I've narrowed it down to 8 major categories. And this is definitely highly subject to change, debate. Go ahead and leave the comments and talk about this. But the 8 major categories that I've identified are animal, automaton, amorphous, contagion, humanoid, location, plant, and tool. So 682, to continue on our example, would fall under the animal category. But so then we freak out, wait, 682, it's supposed to be reptilian. There's other animal types such as the cuddly kittens or or dogs or something, and they don't even look remotely alike. I understand that, and so some tags will have an override visual appearance, so that the reptilian tag would override the generic animal tag with a reptilian-looking creature instead of having whatever the generic animal representation is. Same with it's an avian tag, then it would get a bird-like looking representation instead of a reptilian one. And so that way there'll be enough variety in what these look like so that it's not going to be totally ridiculous, but it will greatly reduce the amount of content that needs to be made for the base version of the game. So you might still be worrying about this because, well, it's not going to capture the subtle nuances of this article and the brilliant little details that are in there. And, you know, that's true. It's not going to be great at capturing the various details in an article. In fact, there will probably be some times where it's just going to be plain wrong. It's probably not going to be even close to what the article is like. And so I've come up with another solution that I'm not ready to talk about in full detail yet for handling that as well, and that's the modding solution. And it's very heavily under development and it's making a lot of progress. I'm pretty excited about it, actually. When mods are created for an SCP, the game is going to be checking for a mod when it creates an entity in your game for the first time. And if it finds a mod for it, it will use that instead of the generic tag-based system. So as this game gets released and modders as well as myself start creating little expansion content for the game, we might eventually reach 2,000 individually implemented objects and be able to have every single one have their own unique look and feel. But until that point, this provides a foundation for every article to make it into the game to some extent, even if it's a little generic and sometimes not a very good match for the actual article text. So I hope that's a pretty good explanation. Please leave your feedback and I'll catch you in the next video.